The words of a talebearer are as wounds, and they go down into the innermost parts of the belly. Let's look quickly at being careful about who you let into your house, being careful about who you allow into your life, who you let into your business. And that's something I've dealt with, and maybe so have you. I'm kind of a private person, but I'm not necessarily quiet or shy as some people think. But more is I know people. People talk. They might be speaking in soft tones, patting your shoulder, seeming like they are comforting you, commiserating with you, or advising you. But then they will speed right off and talk about you, laugh at you behind your back over the problems and issues that you gave them, spread it all around. Now, I'm not that type of person, but I've been dealt with in that type of way. And I'll sit there thinking, oh man, this person was smiling all in my face, and I didn't even know they hated me. I had to go through some of that over time to understand things a little bit more. I mean, nobody knows it all. There's a learning curve, but I had to learn and gain discernment on that. There are a lot of people who play like they're your friend, but they're not. And their gossip, their fake concern can cause you problems. Proverb says, where there is no talebearer, the strife ceaseth. If you don't give Mr. and Mrs. Talky McTalk a bunch of information, they cannot become a talebearer. They got no tales to bear and carry around. It's very simple. You and I, as Christians, as believers, we must learn to keep people on a need to know basis. And I mean everyone, even people that really are closest to you. Now, there's some exceptions to that. Like you can think of a biblical example like David and Jonathan. They had a brotherly relationship that was very, very close. Now, I know some folks out here, they have wicked imaginations and they say it was some kind of rainbow pride relationship. And there's no need to deal with that in this hour. These are evil people that say that, and we're going to leave them in their own juices for now. But some people do have very close friendships, and they trust one another to the death. But I believe those kinds of relationships are very uncommon. Most people that you'll ever meet, you better be cautious. Don't give out too much information because they're going to run and tell that. But again, I'm not that type of person. I can keep a secret because most of the time I don't want or need to know everything about you. If I don't know, this is the principle I use, that if I don't know about you, I can't go and tell it. I think I can be trusted, but I guess I don't trust myself. I don't need to know it. And it took me a while as a teenager, up until I was a teenager and a young man, to understand that most people are that kind of person. Most people want to know stuff, whether it's helpful to them or it's to help you or whatever. It's just their curiosity at best, and it's used to craft a case or form a weapon against you at worst. I have a blood relative who is that type of person, going all the way back to my childhood. They're the type to be peeping out windows in the neighborhood, all that stuff, interviewing people. Now, I'm a watchful person. I consider myself observant. I know what's going on, but I kind of can take a snapshot of a situation or of a person, and then I'll move on. And I remember being a teenager, having a conversation with someone, and later this relative that I'm mentioning here approached me, kind of looking me up and down, asking me, well, didn't you ask that person about this or that? I don't even remember what it was about. And I'm like, no, I didn't even ask him about whatever topic my relative was curious about. And this relative was like, you should have asked more. I remember they were almost angry with me, and it made a mark on me. Why did they want more information about this other person so badly? And it opened my eyes a little bit way back then. It started me on the road to understanding that as soon as someone starts interrogating me, asking a bunch of questions, I already know. That kind of person who asks questions rapid fire, and they kind of try to pin you down in a way so that they're giving nothing out, but they're taking something from you. That's a busybody. That's a person who wants information, an information gatherer. This person is trying to find out something about me or someone else through me. And they're trying to judge me or read me in some way. And then above it all, they're trying to pass it off as, I'm just concerned about you, brother. Bible says, he that goeth about a talebearer revealeth secrets. Therefore meddle not with him that flattereth with his lips. And you got to be able to handle folks like that. And you better learn how to do it swiftly. Because the more you talk to them, the more the hooks are going to be in you. You stay ready so you don't have to get ready. Well, I guess the Bible calls that being sober and vigilant. There's people like this everywhere. Some of these people are in churches. Don't let this shield down at any time. These types are there to spy and watch and talk about what they gather from you. And I heard one preacher saying, you think there's now witches in churches? There's a door on the building. That means the witch can walk inside same as you can. And I remember the direct way he said that, and it kind of struck me. I remember thinking, wow, he's right. You know, a witch is usually more grounded or simple than the spell casting person you see in a TV flying on a broomstick or crossing dimensions or stirring a cauldron or something. A witch can be a lot of different things. A witch is the ultimate busybody. A witch is basically someone who is speaking something over you or about you, using information in some kind of ungodly manner, using power in a way to manipulate that God is not pleased with. And that's a conversation for another day if we get around to that. But the point is, you're not going to keep witches and warlocks and busybodies and gossips and backbiters out of your life. You're not going to totally keep them out of gatherings or anywhere where there's more than a few people. And whether it's church folks or otherwise, any place, they're going to be there. Workplaces, random strangers in the grocery store watching you. You got to watch out for this type of person. You know, the thing about social media is it's really ill in a bunch of ways. And one of those ways is anyone can access your life once you open that window to the world. People wonder about the government or Google watching them on the devices. Other people that are out here are watching you on, from whatever you post. You put your kids up there, you just gave somebody access to them in a way. You put your business on there, or something good happened to you, something bad happened to you. You put it on there, somebody has access to that now. I'm not even talking about the tech companies or the state or whatever. What about the person that's lived down the street from you? He saw it too. I was talking to someone recently about, I really don't know what's popular now in terms of entertainment these days. It's probably way more wicked than I can imagine compared to when I was young, and it was wicked back then. But when I was growing up and going all the way back to black and white times that I would watch those old movies, I would see those monster movies, horror films, and you would see something like a vampire or some kind of similar creature like that. Basically, they couldn't come into your place unless you invited them. And I'm sure it's different now, the movies now or shows. And people are more open to evil these days. There's just no question about that. Evil has more room to roam or operate anymore. Remember the legion of devils that entered the pigs in Mark chapter 5. They wouldn't need to go in animals today because most people in 2024, they want the devils inside them. Yes, they do. We've talked previously about how most folks today love death with their skull shirts, skull and crossbone hats and tattoos and stickers, and their Halloween celebrations, trunk or treat and all this junk. And I do know that there are now many stories, books, shows, or whatever, where especially women, they want the monsters in their lives. These characters and the people that are watching this stuff, they love vampires now. They have babies with the vampires. They marry the undead creatures. The vampire is a sympathetic being today, where before it was correctly or rightly portrayed as straight up evil. People root for the vampire. He's the good guy now. The human who's out to destroy that thing, that's the bad guy. They flipped it around. And it wasn't like that back in the day. I think even Wicked Hollywood had more sense about that thing until relatively recently. I guess the entertainment kind of tracks the general population. Art imitates life, life imitates art. It's all connected. All of it is on the broad way which leadeth to destruction. I know you see it, but do you like it? Essentially, the undead creatures in these shows, at least back in the day, they couldn't come in unless you invited them. The character knew what it was, and they didn't want to get ate up, and that thing could be tapping at the window or the door, looking in all mean, all it wanted, but it couldn't get in. But if it could seduce you, convince you, coerce you, intimidate you, outsmart you, it can enter. And then it's saying, yes, I'm in. And once I'm in, I'm never going to leave now. You'll never get me out of your head and out of your life. I know everything about you now because you let me in. You wanted me here on some level. And I use that kind of illustration with people. Once you get them in your stuff, once you tell them something, they don't or won't leave. They'll be sitting there saying, I saw that look on your face. Everything okay? Something wrong? Yeah, me and my husband and I, we're having problems. Oh, really? Really? Well, me and my husband have issues too, girl. All right, see you later. And so next time they see you, they want to pull more out of you. Are you and your husband still having problems? Tell me about it. Meet me at the Starbucks for a drink with some whipped cream on it. And let's talk about this. So you let them in your stuff. You invited them into your life. From there, they're entitled to get updates on you. Can you see it? You let them in. And that's basically what we're on in this hour. Do not just let anyone in like that. You got to be on guard from the beginning with everybody. Because you'll be sitting there saying, oh, Lord, I've done this. And then I'm thinking, I've given this person too much information on myself. Have you ever had somebody you didn't talk to, and then they'll roll down on you and they'll tell you things about you that they heard from somewhere? It'll chill you. They heard it from somewhere because you told somebody. And I've fallen for this even in the last few years. Even though I've known about this principle of guarding your heart and protecting your family from envious people or gossips for decades, I still fall for it sometimes. I still fall for it because, man, sometimes I want somebody to confide in. I want someone to bounce my ideas and personal thoughts off of and listen to me. Next thing you know, you're telling them something about your business. You're telling them something about your family. And now they got you. They can keep coming back for updates. And then you feel like you went too far. You said too much. You start balking at that. Oh, they're going to be like, oh, you don't want to talk anymore? And now they're hurt and offended. Going to make you feel guilty for not saying more stuff. They're going to keep coming around. It's too late in most cases. You might try to draw a line. Say something like, I can't really talk about that anymore. But you're not going to say that. Most people are not going to say that. You're going to simply realize that you made a mistake. You're going to try to be gentle about removing them, try to change the subject or whatever, which usually it doesn't work. The Bible talks about not being a busybody. 1 Timothy chapter 5 is speaking on women, wives, widows, elder females giving wise counsel to younger females. Did you see that? Wandering about from house to house, and not only idle, but tattlers also, and busybodies, speaking things which they ought not. And it's not just about women or wives or something. This is a general principle or picture of people just keeping their hands on the plow and staying busy for the Lord's sake. And if we keep that, if we maintain in that, we're really not going to have time or energy to be gossiping and digging into other people's debris or giving up information. We got stuff to do. Now, if you're the busybody right now, you're not going to listen to that Bible right there. You're not going to take that command from the Bible because you're going to say, that isn't talking about me. I'm just trying to help this person. You're going to justify it and say it doesn't apply to you. And you're going to continue to butt in people's business. You're going to say you're trying to help. You're going to say you're trying to be a friend. You're going to say you're just trying to add up to your prayer list. Oh, pray for sister so-and-so because she and her husband are fighting. 1 Peter chapter 4, let none of you suffer as a murderer or as a thief or as an evildoer or as a busybody in other men's matters. Of course, men there covers men and women. God says you could possibly suffer in some way by putting your nose in somebody's business. And if you do suffer, if you're meddling boomerangs in some way, it's a reproach upon you. And you may not get empathy from the Lord about it, especially wives, women that believe they're so smart and strong and spiritual all the time. They're going to all pile up with the other women, shopping, eating, drinking coffee, cackling and giggling, whatever they're doing. Everybody's all festive. Everybody's talking and answering quickly. And before you even consider, you're telling all your business. You're exposing your husband. You're uncovering your children. You will tell it before you even realize you said it. And now the vampire, the talebearer, the busybody, the information gatherer is in your business. You think you can remove it? You better pray for the Lord's help.